Chronic spontaneous urticaria, or chronic hives with no known cause. It's so unpredictable. It's like playing pinball. Itchy, red bumps start on my arm, then my back. Sometimes my legs. Hives come out of nowhere. And it comes and goes. But I just found out about a treatment option at treatmyhives.com. Take that, chronic hives. Learn more at treatmyhives.com.
Hello everyone and welcome to Howie the Podcast. It's Gav and you join us bang on full time as Sunderland win 1-0 away at Augsburg in pre-season. Our second last, I guess, pre-season friendly. We do have another one on Sunday, but this was, I guess, the last for the majority of the players who are probably going to be starting against West Ham. I'm joined by Johnny Hawley to chat all about this. Hello, mate.
Hi, Gav. How are you doing? All right, mate?
Yeah, very good. I thought that was a canny little performance from Sunderland. It was all right, wasn't it? I mean, I know we only won 1-0. Probably should have been 3 or 4, if we're honest. But plenty to take from that in terms of positives, I think. We played pretty well without, I would say, having to get out of first gear, considering, you know, Augsburg, a team who've just qualified for Europe. I mean, they didn't really put up much of a test for us, which meant it was just a canny afternoon for the lads. I was quite happy watching that.
Yeah, it definitely lacked a little bit of the intensity of a couple of the games that we've seen in pre-season. I mean, even then, as we keep saying, it is only pre-season. No one wants injuries and all the rest of it. But certainly the best I thought we've played on the ball since probably that first half against Sporting. And I think better today. You know, I think this is probably the best we've looked going forward. I'm not counting South Shields, you know, greatest of respect. That's just not a test at all, that. But yeah, nice to see us actually, you know, stringing some passes together. A few really nice moves. A couple of really telling balls that, you know, players got on the end of. My ender, I'm thinking in the first half where he was saved point blank and, you know, Adingra was denied in the second half with a really good block, I thought, wasn't it, from the Augsburg defender?
Mm-hmm.
But definitely the best we've looked in terms of like a possession-based team through all of pre-season. Finally start to see some relationships develop, I think. So yeah, happy. Good afternoon's work and seemingly no major injuries, so happy days.
Yeah. Well, you've gone and said it now. Something's going to have happened.
Sadiq, you'll have done his, you know, broke his ankle. He'll be out for 3 months now that I've said that.
Nah, that on Sadiq, that was out. I think they just thought, yeah, get him off. There's no point in making him carry on. He just took a bit of a whack on the ankle. He'll be absolutely fine. No, the performance was canny. Like I said, I think you're right. We saw some partnerships building between the defenders, between the midfielders, between the attack, which is exactly what you want to say at this stage of pre-season. I think if Mayenda had his shooting boots on, he could have had a hat-trick. But, you know, the build-up and, you know, you've got to kind of, you know, if you ignore the fact that we missed some chances, we actually created some really good chances and some of the build-up play was really good. I thought Adingra was good. I thought Talby probably had his best game. Really thought played. Yeah. Talby had a canny game, which is exactly what you want right before the season starts. I thought Ronaldo had a canny game. The goalkeeper was excellent. Roefs, wasn't he?
The Roefs was on fire today. Like he was, he was brilliant. I thought.
Well, do you know what was good with him? It was. I think I put this in the chat. You know, it was weird because he was just doing really normal things that goalkeepers should do, like jumping and catching a ball, making point blank saves, kicking the ball to a Sunderland player, and I was like, "Oh, he's mint, isn't he?" It just no disrespect to Patterson because I like Anthony Patterson, but this lad just does the basics very well. And I mean, I know against pre-season, but I'm hoping that bodes well for the season to come because, you know, and on top of that, he saved a penalty. It wasn't the best penalty in the world from the Augsburg player, by the way, but still he saved it. He made a really, really good save I think it was in the second half, that one where the lad shot across him and he kind of just, you know, got down really well to save it. That was a good save. But it was the basic stuff that impressed me most. You know, you kind of expect, you know, every so often a goalkeeper's going to save a penalty. Every so often they're going to make good point blank saves. But it was just coming and claiming crosses. It was playing the ball out to a teammate. He looked really comfortable in possession, I thought. I mean, the last time I got this excited about a Dutch goalkeeper in pre-season, it didn't particularly end well. But
same initials as well.
Yeah. But no, I thought Roefs had a canny game, and it does bode well for the season starting that.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you pointed out his distribution as well, because that was something I was really impressed with. The variety of ways that he was looking to start, well, I was going to say start attacks, I mean, bit grandiose probably, but the amount of times he was, sometimes he was a little roll out to the centre-back or the full-back, sometimes it was an overarm throw, especially I think there was one in the first half where he claimed the ball and then he immediately threw it out into space for Talby to run onto on the right wing. And, he seemed pretty comfortable with it at his feet as well. But that'll be something that'll be really important if he can keep that up through the season. Because if you see the best keepers in the league start and counter-attacks, and, you get up the pitch in the blink of an eye. If the keeper spots a bit of space and you can run into it, then you bypass the defence, you bypass the midfield. And for a team like us who, even if we have a really good season, we're probably not going to see loads of the ball. We're going to need to make it count when we do. So if we've got a keeper who's, willing and able to distribute in different ways and keep things a bit fresh, I think that can only be a good thing. So, yeah, I was really pleased to see that from him.
And Ronaldo as well. Thought I mentioned him before there, but Ronaldo had a cracking game. He got forward when he needed to. He won us the penalty. Strong in the tackle, good in position. He just looks like a really solid player, doesn't he? I don't know what I was expecting from Ronaldo. I know we heard, he's a tough nut and all that, but I think technically he stands up too, which you'd expect. Come on, he played for Atletico Madrid. I guess I'm just not. I'll go back to what I said about the goalkeeping thing. I'm just not used to this. I'm not used to you're signing top level footballers now, so they should have a good all round game. But Ronaldo for me was another one of the standouts. I thought he played really, really well, and gives us a lot of versatility as well, because that's twice now he's went in that centre half in games. Obviously started at left back in this one, but when Sealt went off later in the game, he slotted into the middle and Jones came on. But just like him, really do like him, and I'm glad he's fit and ready to go, because he's not been completely involved because he was signed off the back of the Club World Cup. Then he was given a bit extra time off, wasn't he? So we've not seen loads of Ronaldo, but looks ready, doesn't he, for that West Ham game?
Yeah, and it's massively important to get him some proper minutes with the first team, in inverted commas, if you know what I mean, out of these two, back-to-back games. Because, like you say, he's going to be playing against West Ham, isn't he? I mean, regardless of, we'd all assume he starts left back. There could have been a world in which he starts centre back if, certain things do or don't happen between now and the game. But regardless of where he's going to play, he is going to play. So, positive to see him get the minutes and a decent performance under his belt, because I agree. I think he just looks... solid feels like an underwhelming word, but he just looks like he doesn't have any weaknesses in his game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now I know that sounds ridiculously hyperbolic of pre-season, but he's positionally he was pretty good. He's decently nippy. He looks quite strong for a guy who's not got the most stature. And like you said, comfortable on the ball, went forward, won the penalty, and there was the other one as well where he got in the box, and he jinked inside, beat one, and then almost beat another. So just seems like he's kind of a bit of a jack of all trades in that sense. And again, like you say, I'm saying all that as if it's some sort of groundbreaking thing. It's like, we're signing good footballers who play for some of the best teams. Like, I think they know how to handle themselves on a pitch, but you want to see it, don't you, with your own eyes in a Sunderland shirt before you really start feeling confident. So, great to see Ronaldo playing well. And, fingers crossed he's feeling rip-roaring and ready to slot in against West Ham and get us 3 points on the first day of the Prem season.
Yeah, Ballard, Hume, both played well. Jensen Sealt had a good game. Looked pretty comfortable. Like I say, he tired as the game went on, but obviously you would expect that. Just before kick-off, it kind of broke that it looked like we found a centre-half, but it's still reassuring that Sealt's, ready if we need him to play against West Ham next week. When I talk about the centre-half, anyone listening, if you did miss it, which I doubt you did, but it looks like we're signing Omar Alderete, who was a Paraguayan centre-half who plays for Getafe. He was in the La Liga team of the season last season. We'll definitely talk a lot more about him in the coming days on pods. We'll just focus on the game today. But yes, either way, it looks like Sealt could be ready to play against West Ham, which is good. And then if you move up to the midfield, Xhaka was okay. I think he had a couple of hairy moments in the second half, didn't he, when he played a pass back to Roefs, which could have end up in the back of the net if it had been not been as lucky as he was. And
yeah, it was a bit Nyron against Middlesbrough, wasn't it? That pass from Xhaka. Yeah. not as extreme, but
yeah. And he played one to Sealt as well, where Sealt then had to sort of dive in, and I was just cringing a bit, thinking, But otherwise, Xhaka had a canny game. That free kick was really well struck, which hit the bar.
Oh yeah,
it was a hell of a strike, that. And the two wingers, Adingra and Talby, I think they both played well. Thought Adingra is deceptively strong. He holds people off really well. Look, his decision making isn't going to be unbelievable because he wouldn't be playing for Sunderland. He'd be playing for Real Madrid or Barcelona or Man City or something if it was. So, he's occasionally going to do things which frustrate you, but Adingra looks really tidy, and I like Talby. I do. I think some people have been a little bit harsh about him. I think in the main he's done well in pre-season. This was definitely his best game, though. Put some really good balls in. What I like about Talby is he's quite unselfish for a wide player, so he won't necessarily. And that can be, I know it can be frustrating because people just want to see him take fullbacks on and whip the ball in. But a lot of the time he's trying to work people in. And he played some lovely balls across the face of the goal, which just nobody read, and was involved in some really good interplay with the other midfielders and stuff. And yeah, I've said it a couple of times now, but I think that was Talby's best game in pre-season, and it bodes well for the West Ham game because
that level of vision as well from Talby, because some of those passes, you're right, I thought were excellent. Sort of laying people through, and in the first half, that switch of play that he found Adingra with on the break and came to nothing, but it was a lovely pass.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of either have that in you or you don't. You know what I mean? A lot of the other stuff will come, like you say, the decision making will sharpen up. A couple of his touches were maybe a little bit nervy. Particularly, I'm thinking one in the first half where Adingra sort of plays it across the box and Talby just sort of gets his first touch all wrong. That'll come, but having that presence of mind to look for the runs and spot them and play those passes, I'd rather see him have that at this stage rather than already you've got a couple of assists by just head down and run to the byline and cut one across. Because anyone with a bit of pace can do that. Yeah. But yeah, to have the football intelligence for me, I think is much more important. So a good sign. And I agree. I think Talby, there's a real player in there. It just obviously it's going to take a while for it all to click into place, I think.
Yeah. And when I mentioned Habib Diarra, who got his first goal in Sunderland colours, and it was a good hit, wasn't it? It was a good hit, and it was a good move too. Adingra laid him off, edge of the box. He just thumped it, bottom corner. Keeper was getting nowhere near it, and celebration was a bit wild, wasn't
it? There was about 6 celebrations in one, I think, wasn't there? He was jumping up, arms going round, and then he's seeing his teammates, and he's giving a little dance to the crowd. Like he was enjoying that, wasn't he?
Those sort of moments always remind me of El Mohammedi's goal against Stoke all them years ago. He just didn't know how to celebrate. He sort of done a finger point, then he punched the air, then he did a forward roll. It's funny when you see players do that. They just don't really know how to react to scoring, so they just sort of splurge. It's like interpretive dance, isn't it?
Yeah, and I would have said oh well, maybe he's just not used to scoring. It's all coming out, but he scored against England a couple of months ago, so you'd think the lad would have had a celebration or two ready. But I mean, on the topic of the actual goal, it was a great finish. Lovely crisp strike. Look, again, it's Tony friendly and blah blah blah, but nice to see him even just have the confidence to take it on. Because as we've kind of banged on about through a few of these pods this summer, we just want to see the players getting the tails up and feeling confident and getting that experience of playing well together under the belt. So just for me, another positive to see him get on the score sheet and get on the score sheet well. Because there's a difference between a tap-in and a 20-yard raker outside the box, even in pre-season. Yeah. So, really happy for him. And if he keeps up anything near his level of performances in pre-season up in the regular season, then I think we've got a real player in our hands.
Yeah. I mentioned Mayenda before. He did miss a few sitters, didn't he? But he had a very good game, I thought. He was involved in everything positive we did. All them moves forward. Some of his hold-up play was fantastic. He won us a couple of really good free kicks around the box where he just sort of backed into the defender and made them foul him. But he didn't have his shooting boots on, like, did he? There was one in, I think it was the first half, where he was 1v1 with the keeper and shot with his right foot, and it was just maybe his touch took the ball away a little bit to the right. I think Danny Collins remarked on that in the commentary. Yeah. But he did well to get the shot away, and it was a good save from the keeper. But there was that one where I'm trying to think who squared it. It was Diarra right near the end, and he just couldn't adjust his feet, and it kind of hit him on the heel and sort of spewed wide rather than going anywhere near a goal. But I don't want to focus too much on the missed chances. I know, we would all like to see Mayenda get a goal. I've mentioned it on the pod a few times this week about him, just to give him that little bit confidence going into the season. I think he would have benefited a lot from scoring. But I'm more bothered about how he actually played, to be honest. And the fact that he got through it without getting injured, and he's clearly our man starting the season. It's just one of them things. He hasn't managed to hit the back of the net yet in pre-season. I'm sure he's very much aware of that. Strikers hate not scoring. He'll be up for it next week, won't he?
Oh, without a doubt. I'd be much more worried going into the West Ham game if he had not scored today and never had the ball and never looked like scoring. Yes, okay, the penalty was bad. We can't really gloss over that too much. It was just a terrible strike. But the rest of them, like you say, maybe his first touch could have been fractionally better for that one-on-one in the first half. But when the keeper's a foot away from you when you take the shot, it's not a bad finish, so that one I'm not too worried about. And again, to be in the position and swivel and turn the defender and that shows that he's, his radar's still on in terms of positioning and attacking the defenders. It's just that he needs the right ball to drop for him in the right place in the box. And he'll get his first goal and they'll be off and running. As soon as he's got one, I'm sure it'll flow because we all know how good he can be. And yeah, like I say, some of the earlier pre-season games, I was much more worried. Sporting and some of the games in that middle period where he just was invisible in some of those games. He wasn't even getting the ball. Whereas today, because a lot of the play behind him was a lot better, he was getting on the ball and stuff was happening. So yeah, I'm not too worried. He'll be fine, man. If he's lashing one in 1-0 down under pressure at Wembley in the playoff final, I'm sure he'll cope with a regular season game. So yeah, back my end, he'll be fine.
Who gets your man of the match on the site in the player ratings? Andy gave it to Robin Roefs. Any other suggestions for who could be man of the match?
I'd probably agree with Roefs, to be honest. If you're looking at other suggestions, you can't say Mayenda because he's missed a penalty. Talby, I think, looked pretty sharp. Yeah. Maybe Ronaldo, because Ronaldo was
had
very
a good game, yeah.
Won the penalty as well, so even though he didn't score it, he still won it. He's still done something. But I wouldn't argue with Roefs. I think he deserves it.
What's your feeling then coming out of this going into the rest of the week then? I know we've got another game tomorrow, so we'll probably have a more rounded view on the week ahead. But we won, we kept a clean sheet, probably should have scored more. Looks like we got through it without any injury problems. Sadiq got a knock, but he's fine. There's the Lafay thing. Enzo wasn't in the team, but he has got an opportunity tomorrow. So, let's hope he does really well there. But yeah, I mean, it was about as well as it could have went, really. I mean, other than maybe putting some more of them chances away, I think that's about as well as it could have went. And good for the travelling fans as well, because the people who've made the effort to go over to Germany to watch the game really did deserve to see a win and get to celebrate a goal, and even got to celebrate, the penalty that we scored. We haven't mentioned Mayenda's penalty, by the way, which he put in the Rose Head, but we'll blame that on the fact the stream died at the time and we didn't actually see it, even though I have subsequently seen it. Emotionally, I couldn't,
Justice for the zigzag on the stream, by the way, when that cut off. Well, it's getting a beautiful zigzag for 10 minutes.
I did actually think we would be sitting down to just talk about that at one point, if I'm honest.
I was worried at all.
Yeah, it was a bit of a concern at one point. It just wasn't come back on. In that time, we missed the penalty decision, Mayenda ballooning it, and apparently another really good move, which Mayenda had started. We missed all of that, but it was funny listening to Frankie try and commentate over the dead stream, wasn't it? Eventually, they just cut the stream completely and went, "Yeah, it doesn't matter. Don't even try it."
Just talking about fire alarms going off outside, whatever broom cupboard they're in back at the stadium, as he kept banging on about the start.
I wonder if that's why it went off. I wonder if that's perhaps why it went off, because something went down at the stadium, and maybe that's not everything up.
some technical thing back home. Whatever it was, I mean, at least we didn't miss a goal, you know. And
that's it.
But I mean, back to your original question, you know, where we at now going into the rest of the week, I think I agree, good for the travelling fans who paid the money and went out there to see both the first team and a win. But I think I'm pretty calm now, because that's the first pre-season game where we've turned up against decent opposition, played the game pretty calmly, never in any real danger, got a win, no injuries, move away, happy days. Like, that's, as you say, maybe if we'd scored a few more, that would be ideal. But other than that, you can't ask for anything more from a pre-season outing. So as long as the main lads, and by that I mean Neil, Lafay, Huggins, you know, the first teamers or in the orbit of the first teamers tomorrow also come away unscathed, then I would say a very successful weekend. And fingers crossed we get another here we go from Fabrizio between now and the West Ham game. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to the season now. I can't wait. Get pre-season done. Get me in the Stadium of Light for a league game. Get the Premier League bloody advertising boards on and music. Then I'll be bothered.
Then I'll be bothered. Get the pubs open. Yeah, well, that was about as much as I've got to say about that performance. We've got another game tomorrow, and I think, you know, for the lads who are going to play tomorrow, they're obviously in the knowledge that they're not at this minute starting against West Ham, you know, because the manager clearly has his team in his sights. That's the one that started today, but that doesn't mean they can't get in. You know, if somebody performs tomorrow, they're going to give him something to think about. And I'm looking at Enzo Lafay here. You know, Enzo, if you're somehow listening to this podcast, which I very much doubt you are,
then bonjour.
Yeah, bonjour. Pull your big boy pants up and pick your pet lip up off the floor and show Reggie why you should be starting next week. That's what we all want to see. We want to see a fired up Enzo Lafay in a pre-season game running the show. Because I think for the fans who've paid the £20 to go to the game, that's the least they deserve, because it could be a bit of a slog if everyone just plays like they know they're not playing next week. So we want to see not just Enzo, but the rest of the team doing that. So and actually, it'll give us plenty to talk about tomorrow on the Reaction Pod, when I'm joined by the returning Chris Wynn, who's been on his travels all week and has dared to leave me in charge of this podcast while he was away. So me and Chris will be reacting to the game tomorrow. So make sure you check back in for that one. Hopefully it's another win, so we can round off pre-season in the most positive of fashions. I said I wanted 2 wins. We've got one of them. Let's box off the other 50% of that deal and get the win. Thank you very much, Johnny. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, thanks to the listeners, as always, for joining us here on Howie the Podcast. Like I say, we'll be back with a reaction pod tomorrow, straight after the game. We'll see you then.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.